How's it going?
Yeah, we hope you guys are having a great day, a great week. So, let's jump right in to the worst of the worst. And not worse because he's here. Worst reviews. I'll leave his channel in the description below. It's kind of ironic, but we're not talking about worse as in the person Ryan. We're talking about the worst, with a T, movies of all time. So, starting out, where the heck do we start, Ryan?
Obviously, without going into our obvious pick of what we're mainly wanting to talk about, I could definitely say, like, there's these famous movies that are so bad they're good, and being like The Room and freaking Troll 2, of which, like, I actually broke down and actually went ahead and watched Troll 2, which is just dreadful.
There's also that Troll Hunter. I've never even watched that, but I don't know if you have. It's on Netflix. It's like a very iconic cover of like just a giant troll feet or whatever walking through the snow. I have no idea what it's like about or anything, but I've only heard bad things.
If it's newer or older or whatever, I don't know. It doesn't ring a bell. Definitely haven't seen it, but I may have totally researched it.
What was Troll 2 all about?
Basically, it's just this family that goes on this trip, and like the town gets taken over by freaking goblins, not even really trolls. I don't know why that bothers people so bad that they're not like trolls, quote unquote. I don't know. It's just like freaking dreadful. I mean, and maybe that's the tone it's literally going for, is just dread, but it's like it's, I don't know, like, so bad it's good movies, like, for me in general, and they just simply don't do it for me. And I've been wanting to make a full-on video about this, just kind of discussing, like, I guess I just have this particular reaction to movies. Like, Trav is much easier on movies.
Well,
like, you could have a totally different opinion.
Let me ask you this. What can you think off the top of your head? And this is an interesting topic, I think, that I just came up with. Like, what do you think is your guilty pleasure, but it's a bad movie? Or do you even have one?
Off the top of my head, I mean, I might have to think, just because, gosh, like...
And honestly, I'm trying to think of mine. I'm trying to think of mine, really.
Yeah, a big movie that a lot of people unanimously seem to hate is Judge Dredd, but it's great. Like, what are you talking about?
But arguably, and I've heard it a billion times, and I agree, but I still need to buy it and rewatch it, because we only watched it that one time on Netflix, but just the remake Dredd is just, it's better. Judge Dredd.
I mean, there's no comparison.
Judge Dredd is, like, all I've seen of it is it just being, like, garbage, and it's just ironic that, like, Sylvester Stallone is him, but somehow,
It's like one of these perfect time capsules of, it's just the 90s trying to really be, and I guess you could say a lot of people compare it to Demolition Man, but that's actually good. Yeah. Well, then again, a lot of people don't even think it's good at all. So I don't know. Like, that, there's just that beautiful pocket of action movies like early 90s that's just, it's trash, but I mean, it's not bad. Like, at least I don't think so. I think it's enjoyable and actually a pretty dang good watch. The idea of talking about, like, least favorite movies, worst movies, I actually do enjoy talking about that subject, and then it's also a subject where I'm, like, cringing at, like, the movies I'm thinking of, so it also is equally unpleasant for me. Like, I don't know, but, like, So Bad It's Good is just a pocket of movies that I just don't know. My reaction is just not like other people. Like, I just legitly think, like, if it's bad, it's bad, it's just bad. Like,
you don't enjoy it.
Yeah, like, it's like, man, what is your number one like worst movie? Because I don't think you didn't ever really confirm it's Vampire's Kiss as well. Like, because Vampire's Kiss is just.
Well, I thought you meant, like, well, it's not mine, it's not that bottom of the barrel, and then I confirmed with you, like, no, it is my worst, like, I will say, because I don't know how to explain it, but
when
like I said...
When you first watched it, you were really, really defending it, like, severely, like, to the point where I was like, man, I guess Trav has seen worse stuff. Like, I don't know, I guess I never...
But that's the thing about it, is, like, I really haven't, and, like, it's just, like, I can't think of, like, a movie that is just so, I don't know, just so garbage.
So dreadful. Like, it's... There's... Okay. And I'll just plug this for a second. For worst reviews, I do have a full review of Vampire's Kiss. It's full 40 minutes, just blowing through the whole movie. And it's really almost like a best of, like, highlights of the movie is what's sad. Because it is notorious. It's actually really something to watch. I mean, and is it truly bad? Does that make it truly bad? It's like, in that review, I even said, hey, I would never recommend this to anyone in 200 million years. But knowing now, like, because that was already, like, 3 years ago, actually, which is kind of crazy.
But if somebody was like, what's just, like, a random, bad, terrible movie to just enjoy and laugh at? This is what it is. So in that way, I'm recommending the crap out of it.
But it just rides that line. And it rides the same line that Troll 2, like, not that it's even similar, really. Like, it rides this line of, like, it is just, the tone is wild. Like, the tone is just wild. Like, that's the thing. I don't really want to repeat my review too much, just my straight worst reviews on it. Like, I was so passionate about doing this full-length review, just nostalgia critic style review, I guess you could call it, really. I mean, like, there's so much to talk about. Like, when I first saw this movie, and this isn't even including the review or nothing, I ranted about it, like, to Trav for, like, 2 hours, like, full on, like, 2 hours of just rage and hatred. But in hindsight, it's really, does it deserve that? Like, I'm going to consider this my re-review. Like, just straight on. Like, this is pretty much our just hindsight look.
I grabbed the DVD off the shelf just now for a reason, and it's to remind me of certain things about it. And, yeah, sitting at 1 hour and 43 minutes, which, quite honestly, is too long. 1989...
Yeah.
In color, like that's an unneeded detail, but 1989. Honestly, when I really think about it, like for certain movies and all that, like that's a pretty good year because
that's
like
very good.
It's like
I made that point. In my review,
is the right at the end of the 80s, so movies were still kind of 80s-ish, but also this feels like a 90s film.
Sorta, yeah.
It really has that, but it's like it's perfectly in between. It's like literally a 1989, like 80s/90s feel. And okay, just for information on this entire thing, because we haven't really even said who's in it, blah blah blah. But it's just Nicolas Cage,
who I love,
who is an amazing.
Love,
I don't
like,
care who says what. Nicolas Cage can perform, and this movie is a testament to that because you could tell that he was trying. You could tell that he was really really trying to like because. It depends on your type of, like, what you like in a movie. If you don't mind somebody just kind of going crazy in a movie, like, because that's what Nicolas Cage has literally become, like, almost a meme for, is just his crazy... There's even that recent movie where he's, like, a dad or something like that, and there's just supposed to be these really, like... He just makes faces and he goes crazy because he's literally for that, and why I always believed in him as Ghost Rider for that reason, because he can go crazy face and, like, whatever. But... It's like what me and Ryan did recently, and it's something that was really enjoyable to do. Is we watched the commentary for this movie that's on the DVD, and when the DVD came out, I guess they recorded this commentary whenever the DVD came out. That'd be something to research, but I don't know off the top of my head. But the DVD came out
2002.
Okay, so 2002. Around that time, some probably, 2000, 2001, whenever they actually recorded the commentary, that is a lot of time later. And Nicolas Cage and the director, it was just the director and Nicolas Cage, and the best thing and why it's my favorite commentary on this film is because they basically noticed. Because I think even Cage and the director said, like, yeah, we haven't seen this in a really long time. And I don't know why there was a lot of stuff in here that we didn't. Why did we do this? It's basically like, why was this scene this way? So it kind of like, because what I was afraid of when we watched the commentary, what me and Ryan feared, we were like, please, for the love of God, do not just still defend this movie. Like, the director and the actor could have easily just been like, no, this is brilliant, even for back then. But like, it's basically them just saying it didn't age well. That's the thing. And
what they were trying to do, and this is just according to the commentary, so it is, I mean, it's paraphrasing and everything, but in its own way, and of course when you're first watching this, all I was doing was getting so angry at every little tiny thing, and that's really not how you're supposed to watch a movie, and in general, it's really not. I mean, it's, I guess you can if you're just like, I'm so hard on movies, like in general, like compared to Trav, and I've probably said that 2 million times, but it's one of these things where they did address, like, in a way they were kind of defending it in that way. Like, they weren't, but in that way they were saying, like, there was nothing like this out at the time.
Because it's literally like nothing I've ever watched.
It's like nothing else. Like, I get it in that manner, like, but that doesn't automatically make it good.
There's an underlining meaning to the whole thing that Ryan watched it, and, you know, it's not to say anything about his way of, like, processing movies or whatever, but, like, I finally brought to his attention what I truly think this movie is about, because the movie doesn't, the problem with the movie is it doesn't clearly explain anything. Now, to that point is not a bad thing, because some movies can have that, like, you have to figure it out, and it'd be great, because when you have a good ending that's, like, it reveals everything, that's cool, but this movie did the opposite, where it's like, it didn't reveal anything, Jack Diddley squat.
It only raised questions the longer it went. So, like, it raised
by the end, and I'm not saying that's a problem in other movies.
That's actually probably the best part of it.
Because it's kind of like what happened with Infinity War. We were so excited to get answers of what's going to happen, and then by the end we're like, questions. What's going on? It's great sometimes when you have a movie that has more questions than you had going into it. But this is on this different level of,
my biggest problem with all this in general, like, it comes down to this, and of course I don't want to repeat my review, but this is just what I said. A movie is gonna make it on my worst ever list for every single reason. This is just right at number one, because reason number one being, this has no genre. Like, I swear to you, like, it's because you could argue,
because every genre that you said that the internet was saying it was not like they call it a dark comedy, and I'm like, this literally has no humor in it hardly at all, only a couple little moments.
Intentional, like
The Therapist was really the only moments that was like, okay, there's some funny moments, like, I'm not gonna laugh at you, and then she ends up laughing and stuff like that. And if you've seen the movie, you know the scene I'm talking about. But like, just
even that
stupid moments.
Even that, it's just it flips wildly. Like, that's what I'm saying about the tone. It flips so wildly. There's no set genre. That is not good. Like, that is, I don't even care.
Well,
like,
the thing, and what I told Ryan after I watched it one time a long time ago, and was like, disliked it. But I will admit, watching it again, I liked it more, but only by a tad, because then I understood what the movie was trying to, I understand I really believe what the director was trying to go for is a man like that and Nicolas Cage can pull it off, so you got a great actor for it. He's super young. He was like 20-something. I think he was like 20 exactly, which is insane.
That's insane.
It's about a man that goes crazy, because the whole movie is about this man literally thinking he's become a vampire. But while he's being this way and thinking that about himself, he's also just a really big jerk at work, and he's the boss. That's the problem with the whole thing.
And
in that way, he's also not even relatable, because he's just the boss.
He's not relatable. You cannot be sympathetic, and that's what.
And I told Ryan also,
characters. Okay.
The villain the entire time. That's what, like, he's basically like, he's one of those movies that's like, oh, this guy was basically the villain the entire movie.
But the problem with that is you need, at least, okay, and I say this, like, you need likable characters for the movie. Like, okay.
And what's sad about it is it's not like they don't have it, because there is...
The therapist is likable.
Well, what was her name? The lady that works for him.
The Alva.
Yeah, Alva. Alva!
Is,
that is an amazing scene. Like, but in its own ridiculous way. But she was the only likable character, and like what Ryan said, is like, you feel bad for her because she's dealing with this boss, but it's almost like you're more of like feeling like she's just dealing. And Nicolas Cage was putting on an act, but you almost feel like she's just dealing with this set piece that they're like, they're just dealing with like him as a like. And I'm not saying Nicolas Cage is like that, but you feel bad for her to even be in this movie, because she's the only really great actress in this movie, and and her brother were the only two that was like, I sympathize with these people, but the irony is neither one of them were the main character. There you go.
Like, and the other thing is like, this is, I cannot nail down who the audience was. I mean, even after this long after thinking about it, I swear, like, I think the only, and this is weirdly admirable, even according to the commentary and according to a GQ interview on YouTube.
Face Off was really the direct result of another movie I made called Vampire's Kiss, which I considered my laboratory. And in that movie, I really wanted to find a way to express, again, my kind of German expressionistic dreams, aka, like a la Nosferatu or Caligari, where these actors were doing these extraordinary faces and body language that was not necessarily natural, but expressionistic. That's my favorite movie I made, by the way.
In that GQ interview, like where he said, "Oh, Vampire's Kiss is like my favorite movie I've ever been in," yada yada. Face Off is the other movie that he kept referring to.
I've only seen bits and pieces.
But he kept referring back to, like, in his Face Off, like, quote unquote review, like in the interview, was Vampire's Kiss, because he was like, he's like, I love that character. I love being like that. I love acting like that. That's my favorite thing. That's my favorite thing. I get you. And then he's like, I wanted to bring it to the big budget screen and act like that in front of everyone, and act pretty much, he knows, like, I'm acting a fool. But he's also, what he said all through the commentary as well is like, I'm mimicking 1920s, 1910s silent movies where you're having to overact, and like Nosferatu is even a scene like in Vampire's Kiss where
he's literally watching it, and I think that, just a little bit of a spoiler, he watches Nosferatu, and I noticed the second time especially, and even more the third time, when he watches the scene where he watches Nosferatu, is where he's starting to be like, I guess maybe I am turning into a vampire.
Yeah,
and he literally walks around.
I don't hate it that much, where like, oh man, it's so bad, like how could you ever like it?
Because this movie keeps you guessing the entire time. There's scenes where it's like, okay, basically he thinks he got bit by some chick. And you're questioning sometimes, is she really there? Like, there's just scenes, and if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, there's just scenes where it's like her coming down the stairs out of nowhere when he's about to go out on a date with another girl, and like
nothing
you're like,
is clear.
Like,
nothing is clear.
Nothing is clear. But I think the only defense I have for this movie is I think that's literally what they were.
That's
going
the idea.
For.
That is the idea.
It's like you're inside this dude's head. The whole movie is like this bad person that is a crappy guy is just. You're inside his head, and like in a way I respect that part of the movie, because I like a good like making you think type of film, but there's just so many scenes, like for instance, I mean, I'll forgive their budget, but I mean, it was super low only because there's literally scenes where it just repeats the same edit. There's like a scene that's just repeated for certain, like, because they're like, I guess we didn't want to shoot this a second time, like why not? Like there's a particular makeout scene, which by the way, like, which is really weird, because there's scenes that's like supposed to be like sex, but they just have their clothes on, like it, but it seems like they're literally going at it, but it's like clothes on. I guess it's just they didn't want it to go as far as, do that, but like...
Even though it's R.
But it just seems more... I know, it's like you could get away with it, so why not go all out? Like, that's how I see it. Like, I don't want to see that happen, but at the same time, I'd rather see it than just see something so fake. You gotta make me believe it's happening with a movie.
That's another thing. It's like, I don't believe, like, okay, that's how much, that's what this does. Like, it falls apart after me saying, no genre. That is a firm belief, there's no genre. Like, and it falls apart after that, because then you can't even say, nothing is relatable. Everything is super awkward to watch. Like, every scene is just so weird. Like, I mean, and that's what they were going for. That's what's weird.
The only so bad it's good moments, and there are moments.
There are moments, like,
but Nicolas Cage putting on these amazing performances of like Alpha and like,
and that's what it's
and
famous for.
It's so funny. He goes from a standing up straight man. There is a build up to the entire thing. There's a certain story being played where the entire movie is like hit from him being like an okay man to just downright the worst position you could ever be in. Him talking onto the wall at the end and all that was literally like you go from being okay to a jerk, but then you just get worse and worse. And there's just some things. There's like a actual assault scene that like is just is still so unclear, and all this stuff. And I won't really go into that because that's just a whole another dark subject. I don't want to. But if you see the movie, then you'll know. And honestly, when I say when I say it's so bad it's good, I still mean like if you want a good laugh and you want to just go buy this movie for like $5 and just
difference.
It's definitely a movie that challenged me.
But here's
and like what a certain movie is about.
But here's the thing, like with so bad it's good, like I honestly, I'm not gonna argue that. There's no reason to argue that. It's a waste of breath. But there's a reason though, like Troll 2. And freaking Batman and Robin, and freaking. Oh yeah,
we could have been mentioning Batman and Robin being one of the worst movies of all time, if not the worst. Because
like,
I'd rather watch. I'm not kidding. I'd rather watch Vampire's Kiss.
So then for you, it's not so bottom of the barrel because Batman and Robin, even to me, that's not even on my worst list at all. It's really not because it's like.
But what can you say is worse than that? Like just,
this.
Well, I know, but like it just like there's got to be others if like you know what I mean, because there's only got to be a small, if there's such a small amount of bad movies, then like what else? You know what I mean? I'm telling you guys right now, we're gonna be like we mentioned Vampire's Kiss so many times that one of these days, one of my a subscriber that listens a lot or watches my videos a lot is eventually going to be like, okay, I'm going to crack down and watch this movie that these two guys keep talking about, and they're going to be like, and they're going to probably come back to this and comment what your thoughts are, but just understand that, like me, I don't know, but first viewing, didn't understand, multiple viewings is really where it started to hit for me, so it may take that for you, unless you're just like, boom, fast learner, kind of like how Rick was about this, because he had every opinion that I had on first viewing, because he was, and that's what I enjoyed the heck out of watching it with him, is because he was so freaking into it, but it's because it's that type of movie. It's not the type of bad where you're just like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom on purpose or something like that.
That'd be more boring.
But Vampire's Kiss is so weird and bizarre that I've been every time it's on screen. So there's a certain level to it.
In that way, is it truly bad? Is it truly bad?
Like I'm saying, it's so bad. It's I put it at this level. Vampire's Kiss, in my opinion, full blown opinion of this movie, Nicolas Cage's, well, not he didn't direct it, but Nicolas Cage in Vampire's Kiss is a so bad it's good movie, but only with other people. By the way, if nobody knows, this is, and you guys probably remember, but the "you don't say" meme is where this movie's from. That face that Nicolas Cage makes in that meme is a scene in this movie And me, Rick, Pate, everybody, we were laughing so hard because it was so much fun. Because we basically watched this. It was my third time to watch this movie. Was with a big, because this is how you have to watch it.
Just a big
a
crowd.
group of people to enjoy with because it's funny. It's like it will. Now that I really think about it, this probably is my. It's so bad it's good. But even when I say like, but not. It's like it's so bad it's good, but not too good.
Not good enough.
That not good enough
because
there are scenes that make me laugh, and so you got me there. It's not so dreadful the entire time that I don't laugh, but you have to be with people. Like I watched it the first time by myself, I just didn't understand it. Very second time, like 2 or 3 years later, I was just like, I get it now. It's just a psychological thing. And you're just inside this dude's head, and there's some amazing just overacting. But as for Vampire's Kiss, it can burn.
Yeah.
But I'm always gonna be, it'll always be this movie.
It changed. Okay.
That I'll call it we own, because like me and Ryan, we just own this one copy, and it's just been at my apartment forever. And like I'll always just want to have it on the shelf because it's like if anyone's just ever come to me and be like, what is a bad movie? Like, then I can name it. This is terrible, but like I said, it's just so bad that I'll say this. It's not so bad it's good. It's so bad it's pretty good.
There's no reason for Vampire's Kiss to exist at all. Just like and surprisingly, I don't think I retreaded that much ground because I did want this to technically be a re-review, like re-looking at Vampire's Kiss officially in a video again. But yeah, guys, have an awesome week, and any feedback is appreciated. You'll be hearing us later.
Literally what he means is you'll be hearing us later, not seeing us, because I usually say, like, you'll be seeing me later, and then I gotta realize, wait a second, you'll be hearing me later, but it doesn't sound as catchy. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and all that beautiful stuff, guys. And you guys will be hearing us in the next one and seeing me in the next review. Trav out, and peace out. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.